Event, and Jaime Jefferson of Cuba now ready in the long jump. Jaime Jefferson with his 4th attempt coming up. He was disappointed in the 3rd attempt. Dwight Stones, Jaime Jefferson about ready for jump number 4.
Bob, he's just having a horrible meet, and I haven't seen him limping. I don't see anything on the runway that would indicate to me that he's having any kind of a problem physically. But his marks have all been, as we said before, in the mid-25-foot area, which is just really below average long jumping for a 28-foot long jumper, which is what Jefferson was leading the world with most of the spring until Mike Powell took over that 1990 lead. Let's see if he can make some adjustments and get out to a decent mark. And you can see he has that hitch kick style of jumping, and as we've been pointing out, he has a fair jump. You see the white flag going up in the background. This is his 4th jump. See if he steps out like he has been. I hate to keep making such a point of that, but yes, you see it again. That left foot goes out to the side. He drifts to the right, and he has better extension into the pit than a lot of the athletes, as you see him getting just about all of the board there, but he just isn't getting that pop off the board that you have to have. He shortens that last stride. His arms are pumping well. His arms don't come up off the board like you would like to see they are, and his bottom drops into the sand ahead of his feet, so he at least improves to 26.2 1/4, only 3/4 of an inch below the magic 8-meter mark. But he has not been able to take advantage of any of the wind that has been at his back because he's been having some technical difficulties.
Dwight, you wonder if the cold could be affecting Jefferson, obviously from Cuba, and the temperature is warmer, the humidity higher there. What do you think?
I think there's no doubt about it. I think any warm weather athlete, and we're looking at a lot of them in this particular competition, is going to be affected by the fact that it's cool. They stay out there waiting for the wind to be at their back, but it's a double-edged sword. As the wind comes up their back, you also have 62-degree temperatures going up your back. So I think that you don't know which to do. Take advantage of the wind or try to get back into your sweats after the jump.
Robert Emmiyan will be coming up with his 4th attempt in just a moment. He has a little bit better advantage in the weather department, I might say, coming up here. Robert Emmiyan with his mother watching from Armenia, along with his brother. Larry King talked to both of them earlier. They're in a hotel in Armenia. Their home destroyed by the earthquake. Robert Emmiyan is aware that his mother and brother are watching him right now as he competes in the 1990 Goodwill Games, which is what this is all about.
Bob, if you saw Robert Emmiyan walking around, you certainly wouldn't look to him as being the profile of a long jumper, only 5 feet 10 inches. It's good, very good sprint speed and great leaping ability. Let's watch to see how much height he gets off this board here in his 4th jump.
Currently in 3rd place, Robert Emmiyan.
And a foul jump for Robert Emmiyan, pushing as much of that runway as he possibly can with the board. Let's see how much he stepped over. He's over considerably, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. That's enough. He has to make the adjustment back. He might have picked up a little extra wind on that one and pushed his stride to the point where he did foul, but that's a wasted effort in his 4th attempt.
So Robert Emmiyan remains in 3rd place. Lewis is 1st, Powell is 2nd, and Emmiyan is fouled on his last. And now the long jump competition continues. Robert Emmiyan set for his jump.
So we might get an idea of what could happen in the 6th and final round. Obviously, Emmiyan wants to jump as far as he can on every single jump.
Mother watching along with his brother in Armenia, getting the crowd behind him here. One of the things I've noticed in these Goodwill Games is the crowd is not just U.S. based. They are applauding the good performances, no matter who it is.
Great height on that jump again for Emmiyan. Last jumper in the field, that was his 5th jump. Each jumper will have just 1 jump remaining. Let's see what kind of adjustments he made on that particular jump. Didn't use his arms as he got to the board like he should. That's very, very important when you're starting to get fatigued, you're starting to run out of gas. He did not foul on that one, as we can see. Let's see him drop his arms just slightly right before the board. He chopped his step ever so slightly. So he thought maybe he was going to foul, but he has 1 more chance. He's in the driver's seat. If there's no improvement by any of the jumpers ahead of him, he could steal this thing.
Powell, Lewis, Emmiyan still in the run here. Carl Lewis leading 27 feet 6 inches. We'll be back for the conclusion of the long jump. right after this. Men's long jump competition coming up on the 6th and final jumps. Carl Lewis with a very narrow lead, defending his 63-meet win streak. It's been since 1981 since Carl Lewis was defeated in the men's long jump. And you see Mike Powell is very close behind, and Emmiyan also with a 27-foot jump. So it's all down to this. Can Powell or Emmiyan defeat Carl Lewis here tonight? We are now approaching the time for the 6th and final attempt in the men's long jump. Dwight Stones?
Well, I'll tell you, if I was Mike Powell, I would sure like to be jumping after Carl Lewis. They drew these spots randomly, I would think. So Carl Lewis is jumping after Mike Powell, but Robert Emmiyan has a real shot by jumping last. Here's how Mike Powell's series has gone. Just the one foul. He's jumped reasonably consistently, and he's been making adjustments. So it's just a matter of hitting the right jump at the right time. Earlier this year in May in UCLA, he had a horrible first 5 jumps and then put it all together on the 6th and final jump and had a foot improvement over the rest of the competition. Let's see if he can do exactly that on this, his 6th and final attempt. Mike Powell.
Look good.
It looks very good.
The flag is up. The red foul flag is up.
He did something very strange in the middle of his flight off the board. Let's see if we can take a look at it. He brings his knees in, and I'm wondering why he did that, what entered into his mind, what reaction he had off the ground. But that looked like a good one. Very tall at the end. He didn't step out, and he brought his legs in a little bit. Let's see exactly how much he fouled by. Oh, it's a good, solid foul. No question about that. He was pushing all the way on that particular jump. Knew it was his last chance. It looked like a good jump, but a red flag. So Mike Powell will not defeat Carl Lewis here as he fouls on the 6th one. Mike Powell's best effort of the day was 27.4½ on his first jump. And now Carl Lewis leading 27 feet 6 inches, but he wants more because he knows Robert Emmiyan will be coming up shortly to also compete. Carl Lewis leading 27 feet 6 inches, will be going to his jump in a moment, and Mike Powell with a foul on his final jump gets a round of applause from the crowd here at Husky Stadium. Jaime Jefferson with a disappointing night, his best one 26.2 1/4. We certainly don't want to count him out of this, nor any of the others, but it looks as though Carl Lewis and Emmiyan are going to be the two to get down here to the finals. Powell, frustration written all over his face. He knew he had a good one, but it is not to be today as Carl Lewis stands at the end of the runway, his 6th and final jump. Of course, taking all 6 jumps tonight. It's very cool here, a little bit breezy. Really took a bad rap at the Olympic Games when he was trying to conserve energy for the 200 in the relay. Took only 2 jumps in that competition, obviously good enough to win. Jumped over 28 feet at the Olympics to win the gold medal in '84. Jumped 28.7½ to win the gold medal in '88. Has not lost a competition in 9.5 years in this discipline. His 6th and final jump, he knows he may have dodged a bullet with Powell, but he knows Emmiyan's jumping behind him. He needs to get a good one on this, his final attempt of the competition. Good jump by Carl Lewis. As the flash bulbs flashing in the background, the white flag goes up. He doesn't seem particularly thrilled with that jump. No celebration on his part. You see him coming down the runway, dropping his arms ever so slightly. These athletes seem to be taking a little bit of a sneak peek at where they are with regards to the board, which is a cardinal sin in the long jump. You don't want to watch to see where you are, but you can see his arms just hesitating, dropping a little bit. He's feeling for that board. Sits down again, doesn't extend into the pit, and it's not an improvement for Carl Lewis, so now he needs to wait, like the rest of us, to see what will happen with the remainder of the competitors. I have to think that the person with the best chance in this competition to unseat Carl Lewis and break that 63-meet winning streak is Robert Emmiyan. He'll be jumping in a few minutes. He's the final competitor in this 6th and final round. Whoever is to beat Carl Lewis, if someone is to do it tonight, must jump better than 27 feet 6 inches. Powell is finished with 27.4½, his best. Emmiyan, Starcks, Bentley, Jaime Jefferson yet to jump. The last competitor will be Robert Emmiyan of the Soviet Union, who has the only other man besides Beeman to jump 29 feet and would have the opportunity, as you see Emmiyan in your picture, congratulating Carl Lewis, who is the leader at 27 feet 6 inches, but has a very narrow lead, and I'm certain, Dwight, he would like to have been able to get up there closer to 28 feet and nail this down. His streak is really on the line. There's no question about it there as Carl Lewis accepts congratulations from Mike Powell. Mike Powell has probably learned something here tonight. We've got to get their technical act together before the 6th round if they're going to have a chance at winning a big competition like the Goodwill Games, and if they're going to have any chance of beating someone the likes of Carl Lewis.
Andre Ester.
Andre Ester having a reasonably good jump earlier in the competition, but none of the athletes have improved since the 3rd round. Actually, the only one to do so is Liewellyn Starcks. He improved slightly over his previous best. Andre Ester is jumping well all season long. He's been consistently jumping in the high 26s, low 27s as we see his takeoff there. Running with a real good forward lean, and he leaned forward off the board initially, then got scared of that rotation that was taking him forward, and then backed off in the middle of his flight. These are technical things that these athletes will learn and will experiment with as they continue their careers. 26.1.5 for Starks. Really a very consistent performance tonight for him. He should be proud of himself for how he's competed in this very big international field. That's his best mark of the evening.
By the way, we talk about Robert Emmiyan coming up. He will be the last competitor tonight in the high jump. Emmiyan has lost to Lewis on 4 occasions. As you look at Jaime Jefferson about to make his 6th attempt in his attempt to unseat Carl Lewis in the men's high jump. Jaime Jefferson, Dwight Stones, has had a disappointing night. I know he must be getting colder with every opportunity. What's your feeling just with your view of him now ready for his 6th attempt?
If I was out there, I would certainly be cold because I'm dressed a whole lot warmer than he is, and I'm still cold. He improved in the 5th round to 26.2 1/4, which is a little bit better than what he'd been jumping earlier. Excuse me, the 4th round, and his other jump was over 26 feet, so he did pull himself out of the mire of those 25.5-foot jumps, still well below his 28-foot world leader from a number of months ago. Of course, as we said, Mike Powell leading the world in 1990 with 28 feet 5 inches. Jaime Jefferson, because of him jumping after Carl Lewis, obviously has a chance to improve to the point of taking over the lead. He's got to be thinking of that. He's got to say, how many opportunities am I going to have to go ahead of Carl Lewis and win a competition like that? Those kinds of thoughts have to be going through his head, and what he needs to do right now as he gets the crowd into the event up for his final jump, he's got to think about mechanics. He's got to think about getting his speed in control down the runway and executing mechanically as he gets near the board. Let's see if he's able to do that. Jaime Jefferson, 6th and final attempt in the long jump. And that's not going to be the one, folks, and he knows it.
You could see he's disappointed with it. Jaime Jefferson's had a disappointing night here, and the Soviet Robert Emmiyan will be coming up in a moment as we look at it again from the side view.
You can see right off the board, he didn't have the height, he didn't have the speed, and he was frustrated after that particular jump. Let's see how he did on the board right near the end. Almost all of the board right there. Let's see how much he steps out with that left foot before he plants. Once again, that is a real nemesis for him. His body's all bent and contorted in the air, those kinds of things. Muscles are contracted that shouldn't be contracted. That all takes away from an athlete's distance. And there he is back down in the mid-25s again. A disappointing evening for Jaime Jefferson as we see Carl Lewis putting everything back on. He's done now. He can be warm and sit and watch and see what happens with Robert Emmiyan.
It's going to come down to Robert Emmiyan, who had a 27-foot attempt on his 2nd one. And then 2 fouls, then 26 even. And now Robert Emmiyan with an opportunity to defeat Carl Lewis if he can better 27 feet 6 inches. Mike Powell in 2nd place at the moment, 27.4.5. So somewhere between that, of course, would move Emmiyan ahead of Powell. So it's all down to this. Robert Emmiyan trying to defeat Carl Lewis in the men's long jump competition at the Goodwill Games.
None of the top 4 competitors have improved their marks in the final 3 rounds. They had all their best jumps in the first 3 jumps when maybe the wind was a little bit more at their back. Maybe it was a little bit warmer. I don't see that the temperature has really changed as we look at Emmiyan's series, 26.4.5 in the first and a 27 and 26. This is it, folks. The last chance in this competition for anyone to beat Carl Lewis. Robert Emmiyan, 6th and final attempt in the long jump. And he knows
good about it.
And he knows it, and we know it. It isn't far enough to win the competition. Carl Lewis is going to run his winning streak to 64 in a row, dating back to the winter of 1981. And Carl Lewis has dodged a bullet here. Let's face it, no one else was up to the task of jumping as far as he did. He did it methodically. He did it consistently. Robert Emmiyan sprinting down the runway. Jumped up in the air before he planted on the board. That might have confused his center of gravity a little bit. 26.5 3/4 for Emmiyan on his 6th and final jump. He does get phenomenal height off the board. I could see under warm weather conditions with a good wind behind him, this guy could jump real far, but tonight it's not enough. He's going to be 3rd in this competition.
And Carl Lewis continues the unbelievable streak. 64 meets in a row without a defeat. It goes all the way back to 1981, and Carl put it all on the line here tonight against a very difficult field. Here's Carl as he reacts to the victory tonight. And now on to New York. Larry King mentioned earlier about fish throwing. I wonder if he had some fish in that bag there up to the stands. Carl Lewis, the men's long jump champion, with a best jump tonight of 27 feet 6 inches, holds off the attempts of Powell and Emmiyan to unseat him as the king of the long jumpers in the world. Carl Lewis has won the men's long jump competition with a leap of 27 feet 6 inches. And Carl Lewis with his 27.6 in the cold weather here. Carl said it could affect his attempt. Had to hold off the challenge from Powell and Emmiyan. And Dwight Stones, let's have a look at the attempt by Carl Lewis that got him the 27 feet 6 inches.
Well, Carl knew early on that he needed to have a good jump. This is a good field. 4 guys over 28 feet this year. The faster he served notice to this group that he meant business, the better. And this on his 2nd attempt, after the 3rd attempt after a foul. There, a very nice, consistent jump, and he knew it right away. He knew he'd been in the air long enough, 27 feet 6 inches, and he had the prospect of 3 more jumps where he could improve upon that. I think a lot of people would have felt at that point that probably isn't far enough to win, but it did hold up.
Robert Emmiyan's final attempt now to unseat Carl Lewis, his 6th jump.
A great moment, potentially a phenomenal moment, to beat Carl Lewis with no chance of Lewis coming back on him. Emmiyan, 6th and final jump. He had a 27-footer, so he was within striking distance. Got up a good head of steam, just 5 foot 10 inches. That hang technique, look at him bounce off that board, tremendous height, but he just didn't have it, and he knew it. When he stepped out of the pit, he thanks the crowd, who was very supportive. And Carl, 64 meets long now, as he accepts congratulations from Mike Powell. There'll be a lot of wars between those two in the next couple of years, but Carl Lewis is still the king of the long jump.
Carl Lewis losing in the 100 meters on Monday night to Leroy Burrell, but defending his long jump streak. 64 in a row.
Well, we're here with Carl Lewis, who wins the gold medal. The streak is alive. You get the win, you get the gold medal. But are you happy with the 27.6?
Well, we always want to jump farther. I felt like I could have put a better performance in today. It was a little colder than I thought and really wanted to. You know, I don't compete as well in the cold weather being a Houstonian. But the main thing is to get through here and win this competition, and I'm looking forward to some better jumps later on this summer.
All right, at the IBC, Larry King has a question for Carl Lewis. Larry?
Carl, I'm getting to feel like we're brothers already. In this event, do you give your all every jump all the time, or do you strategize it?
Well, sometimes you strategize. A day like today, when you really can't get into a good flow, you give your all in every jump. And the great thing about the long jump is that it isn't like the sprints. You have 6 attempts. Any one of them can set a world record, or any one of them can win the competition. So you have to give your all generally in every jump.
Is any luck involved in this longevity of this winning streak?
Well, I think there's definitely a little bit of luck. What it's taken more so is just planning and preparation. Days like today are days that you could possibly lose a competition because of the weather isn't really comfortable, and I'm not accustomed to this type of situation. But in order to be disciplined, I feel that Coach Tellez and Mike Takao prepare me for meets like this, as well as the big meets, and I can pull them through even when it seems like I might not be able to.
One other thing, any point tonight where you thought you might lose this?
Well, there was a little point. You always think that. Robert Emmiyan is an excellent jumper, and of course Mike Powell has jumped 28.5 this season. But we were all feeling the same effects of the same situation, and I think everyone's performance was down a little bit. But the main thing is that the crowd was excellent. They were very much involved into it, and I think we all wanted to do it because they were so active and so involved and wanted to let us jump farther.
And a win is a win.
Definitely.
Thanks, Carl.
We look back, we won't remember it with the performance, we remember the win.
Thanks, Carl Lewis
Thank you.
and Dave and the whole gang at Husky Stadium.